One of our clients does it really well, in fact. And again, I won't say any names, but you know exactly who I'm talking about, Scott, just from what I'm about to say now. But like their whole podcast is just them talking to their community. It's like their community is signed up, they're in their course. But like this is where like some businesses would be right, they're in my course, they've bought from me, that's great. Like I've got their money, I don't really care now. But their care to their customer is so good to the point where not only are they in their course, and not only can they reach out to them at any moment, but they then take the time to like go through their emails and go through their like questions and stuff like that to then not only just answer, but like go into depth on a podcast where they're sitting down and they're just like going and talking about, here's an email from X part of their community, whatever, and they're talking and answering, and then they just like go into so much depth. It not only is helping that person, making them feel really important and really like worthy, they're also helping a ton more people that also will have that same concern or question. What's up, guys? Rich here. Thanks for tuning in to the 2610 podcast, where me and the boys talk about how you can use content the right way to grow and scale your business. If you find this episode useful, then please share with a fellow entrepreneur, marketer, founder, or anyone else who might also get some value from it, and let's all grow together. With that said, let's jump straight into it.
So I think social media has changed life for our generation. How important is it to build an engaged community around your business?
So important. Imagine, right, if every time you put something out, everyone that followed you just shared it. Like, how sick would that be? Imagine if you could do that. Imagine if you had the power. Like people, I remember when I don't know when it was, not that long ago though, someone asked me like for social media, you know the way people say like, oh, superpowers, like if you could be invisible for a day, whatever the case is. There was a social media one that was like, if you could have, like, I think it was, if everyone would like your post, or if you could get like 10 new followers every day, or if you could get, you know, a sale from every post you put out, or, you know, whatever it was. And like the sharing one came up as well. And barely anyone really clicked that. Like, that is the most powerful thing in the world, because imagine if every new follower you got shared every one of your posts.
Yeah.
Every time you get a new follower, every time you post it, they just like shared. And it was like, okay, great. Like you would grow so fucking quick to the point where you would ultimately become the biggest business in the world, right? So, and the only way that people will share is if they genuinely like what you're doing and they're actually actively engaged in your sort of community, and they feel like you're bringing something really, like to take the time out of their day to go and repost something about you as a business, not because you're a fucking influencer and they think that, you know, in their dreams, they might get lucky enough to, you know, take you out on a date or something. Like genuinely, they believe what you're doing is like awesome. You're helping them, whatever. And they're really engaged. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's where, I think everyone's ultimate goal on social media, especially again, businesses, should be to engage a community. And we have so many people coming to us and it's like, we want to grow and we want to make sales. And I get all of that. But I think if it was just like, we want to engage a community, that is fucking awesome. And you're going to ultimately succeed from that point, because that core community, like I always say this as well, right? You could have 1 million views, 1 million followers, whatever, but only even 1% of that amount of people is engaged. Now, that's still a lot of people. But you imagine if like you had only 500,000 people and 50% of those people were engaged. You know, that business has got like 1 million followers. Everyone will look at that business, oh, they're way bigger than that other business. Nah, that's completely false. You can be further from the truth. In fact, it's the complete opposite. The other business is double the size in terms of like the what they've built up. And that's what people don't realize. And that's where ultimately a lot of people should be really like trying to engage, or really trying to focus their attention on engaging community.
Yeah. So in a sense, creating a relationship with their followers, community, that's what like the important thing is. And I think you're right, what you were saying. A lot of businesses and brands, they're just like, oh, I want to get all these followers and be known. I feel like if you create that kind of relationship, like I said, then obviously you're then like, it's just going to help you, I think, if you create that relationship with like your community. I like the word community better than followers. That's quite cool. So
Yeah.
building that relationship up will help you in the long run, I think.
Yeah.
Like, as well, this is a good thing. So in my area, we had a new restaurant open, and I don't really use Facebook, but I go on there like every now and then, and I'm in the community page, and this new restaurant opened, and before it even opened, because it wasn't what this community normally has in the area, people were like, they were cursing it, and all of a sudden it gets like, one person goes there that's like had a really good experience, and they share their good experience, and it leads to more people then going there, and then like now everyone like in the area loves this place. Obviously there's negative feedbacks on like something still, but the community has like come together to then like praise this place, and like just by having their like business put out there on social media, you've created a community around this restaurant. I think that's like a really good example of what we're talking about here, like on how important it is to build an engaged community around your business on social media. And that is definitely one way, I think.
Well, it's so important too. Like it's so like the times that we live in right now is so accessible to do. One of our clients does it really well, in fact. And again, I won't say any names, but you know exactly who I'm talking about, Scott, just from what I'm about to say now. But like their whole podcast is just them talking to their community. It's like their community is signed up, they're in their course. But like this is where like some businesses would be right, they're in my course, they've bought from me, that's great. Like I've got their money, I don't really care now. But their care to their customer is so good to the point where not only are they in their course, and not only can they reach out to them at any moment, but they then take the time to like go through their emails and go through their like questions and stuff like that to then not only just answer, but like go into depth on a podcast where they're sitting down and they're just like going and talking about, here's an email from X part of their community, whatever, and they're talking and answering, and then they just like go into so much depth. It not only is helping that person, making them feel really important and really like worthy, they're also helping a ton more people that also will have that same concern or question. And ultimately within doing so, because you can guarantee out of all your customers, if someone's got a question or if someone's got a thing, that's why we frequently ask questions on websites and stuff are so important and popular, because there's always someone else out there with that question. If one person has it, at least another person has that same thing. So if you can answer and engage with your community, you're ultimately getting so much like direct feedback. Like don't look at it as just a one-way thing. It's like, well, I've got to do all this for this person. If you really care about your business, you're going to get so much value from that person that is engaged that otherwise, maybe for another business, so if you didn't have them engaged, wouldn't really care. They're just like, oh, I got this product, like I'm going to probably, cancel my membership next month. I don't know how to explain this. Probably a good example would be like, no, I'm going to pass on that because it's a terrible example. But you get what I'm saying, though, right? Like I think,
It's like they're increasing their reach in a sense, like visibility across all that platforms. Just by I think having that social,
they're increasing their retention rate. More like their customer retention rate, which is hugely important. Because if you think businesses try and grow and scale, but if you can like whatever number you hit, if you can guarantee like if your customer retention rate is so fucking good, then ultimately you're never going to go down the way. You're just going to be like, boom, and then you build, and then you build, and then you build, and you're never going to go that way. So and again, I think this is where some people neglect as well. Like that retention rate is like they just, it's like, oh well, they've signed up now, so on the next one, try and get more people to sign up. And they don't really care for the people that are in that community. And that's what separates the brands that do well and the brands that don't. And just interrupted you there. I know you had something, but just while I'm on this, it also increases trust, which is like the biggest thing for organic content as well. Like growing engagement, like growing an engaged community. To get sales online, you've got to have a degree of trust, because people don't want to get scammed, right? Money to most people is the most important aspect of anything, right? So they don't want to get scammed. So it's like, can I even trust you to give you my money to get the thing that you say that you're going to get? So that's one thing. And then you imagine if you've got a ton of people there in your community that's vouching for you, that you can use aspects like either in an email or like a video that they send in or whatever. Like, you're just increasing trust to people that's not in the community yet that would like to be a part of that. And that will then lead to buying something from you as well.
Yeah. So overall on that, it is massively important of building an engaged community on social media. 100%. I've been a massive like ambassador, I guess you can say, of like having a business and brand on social media, not just obviously to get sales or build up like a clientele kind of thing. I think just having that relationship with like I was saying earlier with like that restaurant, they've built up a relationship with the community now. The community will offer them feedback, word of mouth. Like it really benefits having like a business or a brand on social media nowadays.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess we kind of touched on this, but what other ways then, like, because we spoke about like coming in with emails and stuff like that and answering questions, is there any other ways that you can think of, like creative ways that businesses can encourage engagement from their community?
Yeah, I think like just responding to like comments and messages is a big thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't name names, but like we've run a social account for someone before, and one thing I did notice, it wasn't our duty. All we was doing was just publishing videos. But one thing I did notice is that the direct messages had such a backlog, and I mean like 100 plus, and like the notifications was like crazy. And I did notice on some of their videos, people were like asking questions or like offering feedback, and they just wasn't they wasn't getting back to it. I think if you're not doing that, that connection's broke straight away. Like you could easily lose followers from your community if you're avoiding that, I think.
And disclaimer here, just to butt in, it not only was not our duty, they told us specifically that we shouldn't do it as well, because they wanted like to protect their own brand, and they didn't want us to say something that wasn't like that they didn't believe in or whatever. Because otherwise we would have done it right. We're in the place where we want 100%. Our clients to succeed, and
I think like
we would have taken care of that.
We have like I don't want to sound like big-headed, but we have a massive like understanding of how like a business or brand can really work well on social media. And I think like community is important. And like I was saying, by responding to comments and messages, and I said this in another episode, don't be a Hollywood arsehole. Like, respond to people. They're just not other human beings. They're offering feedback, which can ultimately benefit you in the future as well. So yeah, that's one of my big things.
Book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Have you read it?
No.
It's really good. You should definitely read
that
it.
a suggestion?
My number one. Yeah, my number one book to read. My recommendation. But he says in there, the thing that people value most. So the most important thing to anyone is themselves. It's their name is like the most important thing. And so people just want to be heard. They want to be valued, for the most part, right? Like that's the most important part to anyone, right? Like that's what they value most. So as a person, like how to win friends and influence people. If you're really like looking to increase, like make the other person feel important. Like make your
100%.
Make your followers, make your people that are part of that community, make them feel important by like valuing their opinions and listening to their feedback and engaging with them when they talk. And that's how you will really engage them and get them integrated into your business, like ultimately. But I guess like to encourage engagement and stuff, like I've got tons of ideas around this, like social media challenges and stuff is always a good one. When I worked at Wise, I had the idea and it never quite came to fruition, but I thought it would have been fucking awesome. And it just never quite worked out. But my idea was that, so Wise, their whole thing is obviously it's international, right? And their real strong visual aspect is their card. It's like bright green. And what I wanted to do was like preload a card, put like, 200 quid in it or whatever, it could be £200, it could be €200, it could be like, loads of different currencies, whatever, that you wanted to put in it. And then what you could do is you could hide it in a city across the world, because like there was offices everywhere. So there was offices like all over Europe, and Melbourne, like there was offices everywhere, right? And so like New York, like you could literally take that and you could do it every month. You could hide it in a place anywhere in one of these cities, anywhere in the world, and then throughout the day, throughout the week even, you could just drop little clues like on social media, like on Instagram, like this is here, like whatever. And then someone that's engaged, because he had like hundreds of thousands of followers, and someone would find that, whether it's in like I say, it could be in Estonia, it could be in London, it could be in Miami, it could be like, no one knows where it is, right? But ultimately you narrow it down, and then narrow it down, and then someone finds it, and then they've got the thing, and then they've ultimately got the money, they can go and like spend it. They tell them what the PIN code is, whatever, and then you cancel it.
What a clever idea.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I loved that. But like my point here is they could have went and spent, and then they could document that thing as well. Like, hey, I'm going to go and spend it on this, or whatever, and then you can share that across your story. People are going, fuck, I want to win the next one, and then next month you do another one. I thought that was like a really, really good idea.
Yeah, sorry to butt in there. That's a great idea.
No,
I thought that your creativeness there was like quality. I feel like even like another idea there, like it could have been like someone we mentioned this before, like that does vlogs, but then like vlogs their journey, and the title will be like journey to finding the wise card, and all these followers are watching, and they might not know the company Wise, and then all of a sudden they're researching it, and then they want to be a part of it, and that's a smart move, Rich.
yeah. No, it was the thing. It just didn't, like I say, it didn't quite come to fruition. My thing more was like to, just do video content, and it was like this isn't necessarily that video related. So it was like sort of like out with my jurisdiction, which was a shame. Because I think it would have been awesome. And if anyone from Wise is listening right now, then please go and try and make that happen, because it would be fucking great.
See your dream come to life.
But yeah, stuff like that. So like you're running a challenge, you're running giveaways, like you're sort of like storytelling as well. Like you're integrating all of those things.
Giveaways. That's one thing I think really works well. Massive. I think we had a client recently that was celebrating. I can't remember how many millions of followers it is now, but I think they hit like, I don't know, a couple of million on consistent videos. And like we recommended it to celebrate, do a giveaway, and I think they're now going ahead with it. We haven't received the video yet, but I think it's going to be perfect, because it's just a way, again, connecting with the community. Like a lot of people might not know this like business or brand, and all of a sudden they're doing giveaways of their products because they've been making like more generic kind of videos, and then all of a sudden they're doing giveaways, and everyone's like, oh, like for example, I say this all the time, clothing brands, like you're doing a giveaway after making all this like generic content. They're like, oh, that's a cool t-shirt. Someone's just got that for free. I'm gonna see if I can buy that from their website, something like that. I think it just works perfectly. And keep that in mind, businesses and brands giveaways.
And again, they can go and they can share that on their social media, and then you can interact with that, and you're winning again. You're using that as another piece of content. Now, don't expect that. Like that's the key there. Don't expect for them to do that, because that defeats the point of the giveaway. But at the same time, like more often than not, especially if you engage that person again into your community, again, why it's so important. If they feel engaged enough, they'll probably share it themselves without you even having to ask them. And that's when the power comes.